Each day we may come across different prayers and mass parts that we need to take note of, especially if the day involves a particular saint or particular celebration. In most cases, we refer to what is called the ORDO. As you can see, this is the latest ORDO for 2020 to 2021. It can be found at the Herald office. If you have not gotten it already, you can get it at the Herald office or at your parish church, which may have ordered it already. Another way is to understand the different terms for the morning evening prayer and also for mass, which will help us to determine what needs to be done and what pages to turn to when we pray the Lauds and Vespers and when we want to read the readings of a particular mass. Here are some of the important terms and information that we need to take note of. We can see here that there are certain terms used which we need to know. The first is called proper, which is specifically for the day. In most cases, proper refers to either a memorial, a feast, or a solemnity, though in many times we may come across a day where there's no special celebration involved. If there's no special celebration involved, then it is known as a ferial day or ordinary day. We have what is called as common, which are prayers and mass parts that are used to complement those prayers or mass parts which are not found in the proper. This is relevant especially if we are celebrating an obligatory memorial, a feast, or a solemnity. More of that soon. So here are some classifications of celebrations according to higher ranking or importance. Highest ranking, of course, is solemnity, which involves the solemnity of the Lord or the Blessed Virgin Mary. Then we have Feast of the Lord or the Blessed Virgin Mary or a particular saint, which is the second highest ranking. The third ranking would be a memorial, which either is an obligatory memorial or optional memorial. And finally, we have what we know as a ferial day, where there may not be any special celebration involved. If you look at your everyday prayer book, you will notice that on page 710, you will be able to see some details about memorials, saints, solemnities, and feast days. You should read this page for you to get a better understanding of this point. A ferial is basically morning evening prayers and mass parts which are celebrated on a day where there's no other celebration of a saint or an important event. Sometimes on Saturdays, which fall under ferial, an optional memorial of the Blessed Virgin Mary may be celebrated. Memorials come in two options. One is optional memorial, and the second is obligatory memorial. Obviously, optional means optional. You don't need to celebrate it unless you have a special devotion or interest towards a particular saint or particular feast day of a church. Then we have got obligatory memorial, which is celebrated only on the day itself for Lauds and Vespers. More details you can read at the notes presented here. Then we have feast days celebrated on the day itself, and it is the ranking second only to a solemnity. Feasts are celebrated only on Mondays to Saturday morning. Saturday evening becomes a sunset mass, which follows the Sunday reading. And feasts only have morning and evening prayer, though there may be certain feasts of the Lord which may have an evening prayer one if the feast of the Lord falls on a Sunday. We will look at some examples in a while. Then naturally, we have solemnities. Solemnities falls on a Sunday, then a celebration of higher rank, which also falls on a Sunday. The solemnity may be transferred to a Monday, which is the next day. And the solemnity has got evening prayer 1, morning prayer, and evening prayer 2. Evening prayer 1 is the day before the solemnity. Morning prayer and evening prayer 2 is the celebration of the solemnity itself. To look at some examples of what is an optional memorial, an ordinary day, or an obligatory memorial, or even a feast, or even a solemnity for that matter, we can look at the different dates towards the back of your everyday prayer book. In this example, you can see on page 822 and 823, we have St. Camillus of Lelis, a priest, optional memorial. Naturally, if it's an optional memorial, we do not need to pray the celebration of this particular saint, unless, of course, you have a special devotion to Saint Camillus of Lelis. Otherwise, we normally ignore it. Saint Bonaventure, as you can see, bishop and doctor of the church. What this means is that if you come across a memorial such as Saint Bonaventure, which is an obligatory memorial, then we are required to pray this particular saint. In most cases, the part which we need to refer to is at the proper itself, which is the concluding prayer on page 823. The rest of the prayers and the parts can be found at the common of pastors or doctors of the church at the respective pages. You can turn to page 1040 or 1049 for more details for morning and evening prayer of the memorial. Here's another example of memorials, St. Monica and St. Augustine. As you can see here, St. Monica has got the morning and evening prayer of the Benedictus and Antiphon and the concluding prayer. What this means that for everything else, you refer to the Common of Women Saints on page 1074, as shown here for St. Monica, 27 August. The only parts that you need to refer to at the proper on page 865 is the Benedictus Antiphon, the Magnificat Antiphon, and the concluding prayer. You'll notice that the concluding prayer is used both for the morning and evening prayer, regardless of where the concluding prayer is located. Then we have got another example here, a feast, Transfiguration of the Lord. As you can see here, if this is celebrated on a Sunday, then there's evening prayer 1, which we refer to on page 839. The hymn as at morning prayer. Other pages for evening prayer 1 would be on page 840, 841, and so on. Then you can see morning prayer for the Feast of the Transfiguration. In most cases, if it's not a Sunday, then you pray only the morning prayer and the evening prayer for the feast, provided that it is from a Monday to a Saturday. If the feast falls on a Saturday, then only morning prayer is prayed. Evening prayer becomes the evening prayer of the Sunday. Then we have evening prayer 2, which is prayed from Monday to Friday. Here are further pages for evening prayer 2. Another example we can see here, St. Clare. For most of the other parts of the prayer, for morning prayer and evening prayer, we refer to Common of Virgins on page 1057. Only the concluding prayer is obtained from the proper, in this case on page 852 for St. Clare Virgin, an obligatory memorial. When it comes to Assumption, Assumption is a very important celebration. In fact, if you are celebrating the Assumption on the 15th of August and it's a Sunday, then the Saturday evening becomes evening prayer 1, and the Sunday becomes the Assumption morning prayer. and evening prayer. As you can see, the Assumption of the Lord of the Virgin Mary has got many pages. Most of the pages, in fact, all the pages can be found on the proper, except for the Psalms and Canticle, which can be found from the Common of the Blessed Virgin Mary on page 982 onwards. So you just need to refer to the respective pages for the Common where it is necessary. Otherwise, in most cases, the rest are obtained from what is the proper. So as you can see, whatever that is proper, refer to the proper. Whatever that is common, refer to the common. So if something is not found in the proper, then you go to the common. If it's found in the proper, then do not turn to the common. One of the mistakes that some people may make is that when they look at the concluding prayer, it appears as if it is between the morning prayer and the evening prayer, and it is placed under the title of morning prayer. That is not the case because the concluding prayer is used for both morning and evening prayer, regardless of how it is positioned. So if you practice using your everyday prayer book and you come across a particular saint, which is an obligatory memorial, a feast, or solemnity, then you need to be aware of the pages to turn and what is the importance of that particular saint. If it's an optional memorial, then we can ignore it unless you have a special devotion to that particular saint or particular event. Ferial days basically means that it's an ordinary day, and we take everything from the 4-week Psalter and the rest from the respective day of the celebration. Hope this helped. See you next time.